Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is where you are. I hope you all had a good long weekend off, with or without alcohol or whatever you were denied due to the lockdown. Movement, seeing the outside world, the sound of birds, the sound of 5-year-old children annoying their parents. Whatever it was that you missed, I'm sorry you missed it. I hope things are going back to normal soon. I think the lockdowns are supposed to be lifted on the 28th, so let's hope that that actually happens. Welcome back to distance learning. Don't know how much longer this is going to carry on for, but let's enjoy it, or not. Today we're going to be talking about something from the book. Now, this is a bit different. We're going to slightly get off topic. We're going to look at something else. A few other students have mentioned maybe doing this. So, okay, I think we're going to do it. Fast food. Now, fast food and unhealthy food in general, I think, is absolutely worth going over. Now, there's a couple of things I want to establish in the introduction first before we look at the fast food section in the book. A lot of what we believe we know about food is completely wrong. Humans could be extremely healthy if we just ate a healthy diet. As you probably know, almost everything around you now is a carcinogen. Everything is making you sick, everything is making you unhealthy. 5G is going to kill people, and that's just radiation. Wi-Fi causes radiation anyway. In England, we had a police radio, and the band worked within a few millihertz of the human brain. And it was causing headaches, it was causing people to lose sleep. And they carried on with it, even though there was other technology available. And they said anyone that refuses to allow this signal gets no police response. So basically what they were saying is you either put up with it or put up with people robbing your house, and we will not respond to you. So people had to put up with it, and it got worse and worse and worse. Now food is a very personal thing. Your choice of food should be your choice of food, but you can't choose properly without the good information. And you need decent information about what really is going on in your food and what really happens. And one of the biggest myths is milk. Now, everyone believes that milk gives you calcium, which is complete gibberish. It doesn't make any sense. Now, my father suffered an accident. When he was at work, he was hit on the head and knocked spark out. And he ended up being taken to hospital because he was unconscious. And he wasn't a young man either. Younger than me now, I think. But he was knocked out cold. And accidentally, they gave him the wrong medication. They gave him the medication for the man in the next bed, which killed him. He was given 6 hours to live. Somehow, he didn't die. He recovered. But he had serious medical health issues, and he has through the rest of his life. He's got epilepsy and osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis is where the bones all throughout your body are reduced in mass. So the sponge network of bone tissue throughout his body isn't as dense as it should be. It's not as dense as your bones. His bones are just not strong enough. Now, this is normally something that affects women rather than men, especially women who have given birth. So it's fairly rare for men, but he's had to change his lifestyle as well as taking medication for it, and obviously be very careful what physical activity he does. The first thing they told him is, you've got to give up dairy. He said, what do you mean? Obviously milk gives me calcium and I need to build up my calcium levels. And they went, yes, you do. You need to build up your calcium levels, but milk doesn't do that. It does the opposite. The reason is that milk is so acidic that it stops your body being able to absorb the calcium. So if you look at what the adverts actually say when they're trying to promote milk, they say milk contains a lot of calcium and it's good for your body. And all of that's true. Milk does contain a lot of calcium, and calcium is good for your bones. But your body can't get the calcium out of the milk because it's so acidic that your stomach cannot digest it. We're all lactose intolerant to various degrees. You all know what I'm talking about. You eat a load of cheese, you're going to fart. That's because your body cannot process it properly and needs to get it out. It's causing digestive problems, it's causing all sorts of issues. That's why it's not really good to eat it every day, and it's certainly not good to eat it a lot. So that's a myth. The idea that milk gives you calcium and gives you stronger bones is an absolute myth that is still advertised on television today throughout the UK and throughout the world. It's commonly believed that milk makes you fitter. Also, milk is pasteurized, which is a heat treatment that is used to kill bacteria. from hundreds of years ago. It doesn't make any sense to be doing it now. In fact, in America, raw milk is actually banned. You can't buy raw milk. They say it's too dangerous. But pasteurizing the milk kills all of the vitamins dead, just like it does when we pasteurize fruit juices. It kills all of the vitamins off and it makes it completely inert. So you're basically drinking something with no value whatsoever anyway. And that's what they do to food. They basically kill it. Microwave ovens. How many of you have got a microwave oven? I don't. They're actually banned in a lot of countries, like Russia, for instance. They're banning microwave ovens because they reduce the food quality down to zero. Zero nutritional value in food that's gone through the microwave. And in some countries like America, they're not just common. They're everywhere. Everybody cooks microwave food every day without thinking about it because they've never been told that it's dangerous. But of course it's dangerous. You're using electromagnetic radiation to cook something from the inside out. You're exciting the atomic structure of it so that it vibrates at a different frequency. That's really unhealthy. We shouldn't be absorbing that. So there are lots of myths about food that stop you from making an informed choice. Another good one is meat. A lot of people say to me, because I'm a vegetarian, I'm sure you all know that, I don't ram it down anybody's throat, but I'm going to talk about it now. A lot of people say about meat, where do you get your protein from? Well, the fact is, you don't get it from meat. Because you see, humans are biologically vegetarian, and that's a fact. That is an undisputed fact. We are a vegetarian species. No meat-eating creatures have the teeth that we have. We have grinding teeth. No meat-eating animal grinds meat. Only vegetarians grind grains and vegetables. Meat-eating animals don't chew. They simply rip and swallow. None of them chew like we chew. There is no way that we're designed to be a meat eater. I mean, I've said this to other people. Look at a dog. Now, a dog is an omnivore, and those of you that have seen a dog eating know what I'm talking about. All it will do, you give it some raw meat, it'll maneuver it so it can swallow it, and it will swallow it whole. Now, what would happen to you if you were given a dead animal? Would you be able to rip off a piece of meat with your teeth and then swallow it whole? What would happen to you? The answer is you'd die. You'd die from poisoning. You get all sorts of chemicals in your bloodstream. You die, septicemia. You wouldn't survive. You can't eat raw meat, and there's no way you could have evolved to only eat cooked meat. And look at our closest cousins, chimpanzees and gorillas, vegetarians. There are no meat-eating apes. We are not meat eaters. Bodybuilders who have to bulk up real fast. They eat chicken, they don't eat meat, and they blanch the chicken. They boil it so that it's almost falling apart, so it soften it so that the structure of it breaks down, so that their stomachs can digest it quickly. There's no way that we're designed to eat meat. So that's another myth. When you eat meat, now this happened in England with cows. Cows are obviously vegetarian, they eat grass. And what they were doing, the farmers, to bulk the cows up, they were grinding dead cows and feeding them back to the cows, which is just awful. And we were seeing massive spikes in cancer. Cows were dropping dead from cancer at a young age. And then we got Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is CJD. It's a mad cow disease. We were literally grinding up the brainstem and feeding it back to other cows. So a sickness that was making their brains fall apart was spread to other cows, and it crossed species and got into the human food chain. And humans were starting to contract mad cow disease, Creutzfeldt-Jakob. And people were dying from it because we were doing this disgusting thing that we just shouldn't be doing. When you eat meat, your risk of cancer goes up, and cancer and heart disease. Your blood pressure soars by something like 60 to 80%, depending on the rest of your lifestyle. So basically, cancer and heart disease are caused by our consumption of food that was never meant to be in the human body. And there are lots of other examples too. Back in the late 70s, the sugar industry literally paid scientists to lie. They said the reason people are getting fat is they're eating too much fat. And that is now known to be a lie. And it was a lie based on the fact that the sugar industry were paying scientists so that sugar got a free pass. White sugar is incredibly toxic. You shouldn't be. I don't eat it at all. I let James have some sometimes. He's given an amount of it, a ration of it, because he's a child and he wants sweet things. But where possible, for breakfast this morning he had honey. We had rolls with honey on it. So he still gets the sugar rush. He still gets the feeling that he's eating sugar, but he doesn't have to eat white sugar. It's toxic. When I go out, we buy brown sugar or cane sugar, raw cane sugar or palm sugar, something that hasn't been processed out and made white. Because when we do that, what happens is we process it so much that we take out all the vitamins, and your body can't deal with it. It can't have all carbohydrates without any vitamin balance. So what it does is it begins to leach the vitamins out of your contents of your stomach. And when the contents of your stomach are leached, then it has to go on to your organs and your bones. This is why it causes tooth decay. This is why it causes all sorts of other problems, because it's literally leaching all the nutrients from your body to try and keep you alive, because the sugar is so toxic that it's killing you. And we discovered that back in the 1800s when there was a shipwreck, and the crew, all they had was sugar. So they ate the sugar, assuming they were going to be perfectly fine, and every one of them died horrifically. They all went completely insane, they had liver disease, and they all died in horrible ways. When we found them, we realised the sugar's causing massive problems. And what did we do? Carried on making sugar, and we lied to get it into people's diets. Now we've got rampant obesity throughout the world. England is getting there as well. America, Mexico are full of people who are so overweight, they literally can't walk to the shop. And we're doing this because we're promoting the idea that sugar is perfectly healthy, and we know for a fact that it isn't. So we've got basically people lying to support profits, but it is more than that. And I'm going to put that on the screen so you can see some of the reasons why this is actually happening, because basically there's a lot of profit in making you unhealthy and then giving you the illusion of being made healthy again, when all we really need to do is think for ourselves about our diet and just stop consuming poisons. Now today we're going to go through a section on fast food. So I'm going to read that through for you, and I'm going to put examples up in the background so that you can see the kind of nonsense that we're talking about. So follow along. Those of you that have the book, I've lost the page number. It's not that one, hold on. It's page 234. So follow along 234. If you haven't got it, I've taken pictures and put it into a document on Google Classroom. So open that now, and we'll switch over to the read-through. Fast food. The fast food industry sells much more than burgers, chips and chicken wings. It is in the business of marketing family entertainment. Colourful restaurants provide fun and inexpensive places for family outings and eating. The popularity of large chains exemplifies how successful the industry has been at making convenience eating an integral part of family recreation and nutrition. Healthy eating. Ideally, a balanced diet should contain a mixture of foods from each of the 5 food groups. It is recommended that we have a daily intake of 4 or more servings of bread and cereals, 4 or more servings of vegetables and fruit, 1 to 2 servings of meat, fish, eggs, poultry or legumes, 300 millimeters of dairy products, and a maximum of 15 to 30 grams of butter or margarine. Balanced energy distribution is also important. 50 to 55% of the kilojoules energy in a meal should be supplied by carbohydrates because they are more slowly digested and provide a more even energy release in the period between meals. A diet should not have more than 35% of its kilojoule provided by the fat content. Fat is the most energy-dense type of food, and if we consume more energy than is needed, the extra will be stored as fat in the body, and we will gain weight. Protein will provide the remaining 15 to 20% of the kilojoules in a diet. Fast food companies argue that as well as selling entertainment and convenience, they are concerned about providing their customers with healthy and balanced meals. Although they concede their meals cannot supply all of the nutrients a person needs, they say the menus offer nutritious combinations of quality food products. We decided to find out if their claims are true. What we tested and found. We tested the nutrient composition of energy balance of a popular food combination from 3 major fast food chains. Food chain, Mr. Jake's. Meal combination, beef burger with cheese, large fries. The main problem with this meal combination is that it's too high in fat and sodium. The beef burger makes it a good source of protein, but it also has a high level of sodium contributed by the burger, cheese and pickles. The salt sprinkled on the fries adds to the problem. Half the kilojoules in the meal come from fat, which makes it nutritionally unbalanced. It does provide useful amounts of fiber, and it is a moderate source of carbohydrates. Most of the carbohydrates come from the fries, which also contribute fiber, but unfortunately the fries are high in fat. Food chain, chicken kitchen. Meal combination, 3 pieces of chicken in batter, potato and gravy, bread roll, coleslaw. The chicken is deep fried in batter, and the meal has the highest amount of energy from fat of all the fast foods tested. It also has the highest sodium. Luckily, all the other components of the meal, the potato and gravy, coleslaw and bread roll, are low in fat. The meal is also low in fiber and not well balanced. Food chain, the pizzeria. Meal combination, 2 slices of pizza, salad with dressing. This meal is the best balanced of all the fast foods we tested. It has a lower fat content and is high in carbohydrates and fiber, and also has a better balance of energy distribution between the protein, fat and carbohydrates than the other fast foods tested. However, if you were to eat more than the 2 slices we estimated as an average serving for one person, you would substantially increase your kilojoule intake. Overall, the popular meal combinations we tested were too high in fat, kilojoules and sodium to be eaten on a regular basis, and definitely were not suitable as between meal snacks. Too many kilojoules in these meals come from fat, making them unbalanced. Except the meal from the pizzeria, most contain too much fat and not enough cereal and vegetables. All the meals had more sodium than was desirable. The fried chicken meal had the worst balance of the fast foods tested. It was very high in fat and sodium, and also in carbohydrates and fibers. All the meals were good sources of protein. The meals from the pizzeria and Mr. Jake's were more balanced, with the meal from Mr. Jake's containing the most fiber. Conclusion: the occasional fast food meal would not do any harm if eaten as part of a balanced diet. However, regularly eating foods that are high in kilojoules, sodium and fat, and low in fiber and carbohydrates may increase the risk of diet-related health problems, including coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, and possibly even some types of cancer. Overconsumption of fast foods could put you at risk of these health problems. Children in particular should be discouraged from buying fast foods as snacks on the way home from school. On the other hand, there is nothing wrong with dinner at a fast food outlet, providing you choose judiciously from the menus and not make such outings a habit. So in conclusion, a lot of what they said in that article is just basically wrong, because it's very, very outdated. The science has now caught up to it a little bit, and a lot of the things that they're saying are now known to be completely wrong. Kilojoules of saturated fat are not as dangerous as people think they were. Basically, it is just fat. So you've got to remember that what fat is. Fat is when your body absorbs too many carbohydrates. Now, pure carbohydrates are sugars, white sugar. If everything else was removed, carbohydrate would just be white sugar. Now, if you absorb too much of that, your body can't burn it as fuel, so it stores it. Just like any vehicle, like a motorcycle or a car, whatever fuel you're not using is stored to use later. So your body converts those carbohydrates into fat. Now, when you're eating fat, you're literally taking the fat that another animal has stored and you're consuming it. Now, your body doesn't really process it very well, but it doesn't process it as badly as it would with pure white sugar. Pure white sugar, your body has no idea what to do with it and just tries to store everything as fat because it can't burn it. So it's trying all the time to just store it up and hopefully be able to use it later, because your body is just discovering something that's completely alien, because nowhere in nature do we get white sugar. If we take all of the three basic food elements, you've got pure carbohydrates is white sugar. Pure protein would be wheat, germ, gluten. People think pure protein would be red meat. It's not. It would be wheat, germ, gluten, another plant-based product. And if you had pure lipids, which is fat, it would be pure animal fat. That's pure fat. So those three things are mixed up in all foods. So fat exists naturally in all foods, even plant-based foods. We still get pure lipids, just in a different quantity and with different chemical arrangements. What we don't get is pure carbohydrates. That doesn't exist anywhere in nature. So your body isn't designed to process it, doesn't know how to process it, and goes a little bit crazy trying to deal with it. And mostly it's stored as fat. Now that isn't as bad if you're a child. I'm sure many of you have got brothers and sisters or hypertension issues, and you burn a lot of sugar off. So most people can burn it off. Most people can deal with a little too much sugar once in a while. The problem is when we get too much sugar all of the while. And you can see it in America where people are living sedimentary lifestyles, and lifestyles have changed. Human beings are meant to have at least 20 to 30 minutes of rigorous exercise a day. We're meant to walk around, we're meant to move about, we have bodies and we're meant to use them, but we don't. I reckon over half the people that work in this school probably never get off their chair in order to work. The teachers do. We go from room to room, but if we didn't go from room to room, we would barely ever move. And in England, that's how it is. In England, my school, the teachers had their own rooms, students come to the teachers. In some ways, that is better. It's better because the teacher can set up, and it's a lot easier for the teacher to have all their stuff in one place. But it makes things very, very difficult for the students. You've gone a different way in this school. I have actually no comment whether it's better or worse. It is different, and I just leave it at that. I don't know if it's better or worse. For one thing, I've never worked in a school where I've had my own room. I'm on the fence. I really don't know if it would be better or not. I'm perfectly happy the way things are now. So we move around. Now, a couple of years ago when I was working over at Stadium, I was working on the top floor. So I was on the top floor, and then every hour I'd run downstairs to the library, which used to be the staff room, fill up some water, and then back up to the top. And I was really fit. I could tell the difference. I was really fit. Coming over to Northwest Campus rather, I noticed the difference because now I was walking out from the staff room to my ground floor classes and barely ever moving. And you do notice the difference. I had to kick up the exercise. And that's just how our bodies work. Now, a lot of people, all they do is sit at desks. And this is even more common in America. People sit at desks. They don't move, they don't exercise, and people get lazy. People get used to the idea of just sitting at a desk. They get their food delivered. People have got very, very lazy. And we're encouraged to be lazy, and that's the real danger because people are buying into it. And now we've got this lockdown situation where people aren't even out of their homes and people are putting on weight because we're being encouraged to just sit at home. And I hope you've got a bigger insight into what the problem is now. People are living unhealthy lifestyles because we're being made to by people that don't want us being strong and healthy and self-reliant people. Simple as that. So food is a major, major part of who you are. Now they always say that you are what you eat. You are what you eat, and that's probably true. To a degree, you eat a healthy lifestyle, you have a healthy body, healthy mind. What you choose to eat makes a huge impact on who you are as a person. So make good choices. Now I hope I've shown you enough today to make you seriously consider what it is that you put in your body. Every one of us should refuse white sugar. Coca-Cola, all that kind of nonsense is really bad for you. Now I've said this before and I'm going to bore you by saying it again. I use Coca-Cola. I've used it several times. When I've been building a motorcycle, I've got a load of metal parts with a bit of rust on them. I throw them in Coca-Cola for a night and the rust is eaten off by the acid. Now that doesn't belong in your stomach. That thing is strong enough to rip rust off the end of a rusty bolt. It's used in cooking. You've probably seen people barbecuing meat. Beef is really, really tough. Most people wouldn't be able to eat it. And often they marinate in Coca-Cola because the acid starts to break down the meat before you cook it. So it's used to literally dissolve away organic flesh. And you putting it in your body, it doesn't belong there. So give up white sugar and seriously consider a vegetarian lifestyle, which is basically what your body is designed to deal with. So consider those things and consider a healthier way of life. Choice is yours. But in your lifetime, probably we're all going to be vegetarians because we can't support the food industry. We can't keep making meat to feed people anymore. We just don't have the land for it. We don't have the water for it. We don't have the resources for it. We need to move on and start cheaper food. Now, and what I mean by this is To get meat, especially beef, onto your table, we have to grow vegetables, feed that to the cows, move it from one place to another, then move the cows somewhere, kill them, butcher them, send them back out again. It takes something like 6 times the resources to make a food product that's actually going to give you cancer. Where we could simply grow the vegetables, feed them to the humans, and use 1/7 of the resources. Think about that. Food prices would reduce by at least 5 times. You can't take out all of the transport costs. So can you imagine that all of your food was 1/5 at the price it is now? What would happen to the world we live in? Now, if we could also generate free electricity, prices would go down to virtually zero. And that's what we want in our lifetime. We want things to get easier, not harder. I think life's been hard enough the last couple of years. All right, guys, so answer the questions, and we'll go through the answers in a minute.